Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow.
It started with orphan care and adoption. In 2010, our little world was turned on its head, and something inside of our hearts began to break for things that had never mattered to us before. In January of 2011, my wife and I boarded a plane to meet our youngest son in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We were green when it came to traveling. Neither of us had ever been to a third world country before. And as my wife and I were escorted from the airport down the bumpy streets of Addis late at night, I can remember our eyes being hungry to see and learn about this country and what was about to give us our son. Homeless men and women were everywhere. I think what gripped me particularly was seeing a woman carrying her child at 11:15 at night. I remember wondering, where are they going to settle down? What backstreet alley or corner was going to be their bed that night? It was our first small glimpse at street life in Addis. Little did we know at the time, in that same city, a young boy was laying his head on the concrete, shivering in the cold, scared and alone. A young boy who God was orchestrating to make our son.
We met him the second day that we were in Ethiopia. It was the day that our adoption agency had allocated for us to shop for souvenirs and gifts to bring back home. I was really excited about shopping, but I was nervous as well. It was strictly suggested that we neither look these children in the eye, nor the adults, nor give them any money. We were told to do so could be dangerous for us. I remember our van pulled in the street across from the little shops, and immediately I saw the children and the homeless adults, and then the police officers with their clubs positioned to keep beggars from the white tourists. I remember my heart beating quickly as I stepped out of the van and I crossed the street. Almost immediately, without meaning to, my eyes met the huge brown eyes that seemed to swallow up the gaunt face of a young boy. I forgot all about the warnings, and I smiled tentatively at him. It was one of those God-ordained moments that can't be described in words. Immediately, beyond any rational reasoning, my heart knew that he was mine. And through God-sized events, Hobby eventually came home to our family in July 2012. But what haunted me as I tried to sleep every night was the reality that Hobby is just one out of 150,000 other children on the street.
So it was through Hobby's story and seeing the redemption that happened in his life because of the hope of Jesus that my wife and I became incredibly burdened for the other street children that we had left behind in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I remember Hobby just talking about some of the other kids and what about them and how's it going to work for them, and we tried a bunch of different little things to try to help, but we knew that we had witnessed transformation in Hobby's life when he was placed inside of a family and he was discipled. Jesus changed him, and we knew that Jesus desired to change the others as well. We couldn't forget what we had seen and learned. Now, picture mothers intentionally starving their children in hopes that the malnourished child will draw the attention of white-skinned travelers. I mean, can you imagine 3, 4, and 5-year-old children being sent out to the streets to beg for bread? Think of the children from the time they were infants, and some even into their teens, being cast to the streets because their mother's new man doesn't want to be responsible for them. Can you picture a place where surviving to the ripe old age of 10 or 11 means you're probably going to make it? And even if that means you're also probably going to be subjected to all sorts of horror, somehow that all works out. Imagine waking up to the reality that bedding down in a dangerous part of town is better than the abuse you've been experiencing inside your slightly better home. Imagine lying on a bed of muddy curbside begging God to give you a mom or a dad to replace the one disease or abuse has stolen from you. It's this vision that haunts me. And it is the dream of what could be for these children that inspires me. What if, on the other side of the globe, the current generation was mentored into becoming daddies, who would mentor their children into becoming daddies? Men of faith whose hearts are captivated by Jesus, men who lead and love their families well. What if the cycle was broken for a few who had a vision to break the cycle for a few? What if men and women of courage stepped into these children's lives and showed them they have a Creator who loves them, that they possess value and beauty and talent and the capacity to do or be anything? I have no doubt that our family has been called to bring the mercy of Jesus to the children on the streets of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. My wife said there are approximately 150,000 of them, so the need is great. The only answer for this need is Jesus. Our hope is to be able to move to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and effectively manage and operate a small guest house. This guest house will employ Ethiopian staff, giving them an opportunity for secure and steady work. We desire to provide safe and affordable housing to guests traveling into the city for adoption or relief work. Our goal is that eventually our guest house will be sustainable and will allow us the necessary finances to live in Ethiopia. It is our great desire to use this guest house as a tool for us to be able to work where our passion truly lies, with the street children of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Before we can do this, we need your help. Would you prayerfully consider financially partnering with Mercy Branch Inc. for the sake of these children? If you would, please go to www.mercybranch.com to learn more about us and to see our secure giving link. Romans chapter 9 says, "Compassion doesn't originate from our bleeding hearts or our moral sweat, but in God's mercy." And it is God's mercy that is the foundation of Mercy Branch Inc.